In today's episode, we'll be talking about, or I'll be talking about, Dune Part 2, released in 2024, earlier this year. So let's dive into Dune 2. Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the DubCast. Dune 2 was released in March, on the 1st of March in 2024, which, while filming this video, is about 6 months ago. Just caught up on Dune, so just saw it now. The genre, once again, is an epic science fiction. Runtime 2 hours, 46 minutes. Budget $190 million. Big budget. The director, Denis Villeneuve. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Sorry if I didn't. Know him from Prisoners, Enemy, Dune Part 1. If you want to see my reactions to all those movies, go to my Dune Part 1 review, or I give my quick synopsis on that. And this one brings back some of the same stars from the first one. We have Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, and new characters, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, and then a mix of old and new characters, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken, Lea Seydoux, Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling, and Javier Bardem. So if you're new here, the way my movie reviews work, I'll give my overarching review and then go through the movie basically as it happens, give my reactions to the things that happen throughout the film. So my overarching review, shocker, I think this was another fantastic film done by Denis Villeneuve. I can't wait for Dune Part 3. Dune Part 2 is awesome. I think it was better than the first one for sure. I loved watching the story of Paul, his ascension to basically becoming the empire of the universe, or of that universe of where we left him. Just breathtaking filmmaking once again. The shots of all the cinematics. I don't know. I'm just saying fucking gibberish right now, but you know what I mean. Like, all the scenes are so well shot. You feel like you're there in this desert world. And although this one spends most of the time on Arrakis, it's really just awesome. Like the worms, it's just such good scenery and such good scenics. The actors, once again, are great in this. They add even more star power to the cast this time around with Austin Butler and Florence Pugh as two of the standouts in this one. Although Florence Pugh doesn't play that big of a part, but Austin Butler is awesome in this movie as the sort of main antagonist. This didn't have as many parts as didn't have as many legs to it and parts to set up as the first one, which made it better, I think, because you could just dive right in and get right into the action. Since they did most of that in the last film, this one they were kind of just able to let it fly, let the story progress naturally. So that's what I thought made this a lot better. Specifically, the music and the soundtrack once again were awesome. I didn't look on the second one, but Hans Zimmer was on the first one, so I'm assuming he's on the second one as well. I do really love this music and the quote unquote aura of the movie. Sorry, Gen Z here, so I have to say it. Well, I guess that's Gen Alpha, but the aura of Dune is crazy, bro. I want to see Dune 3 right now. I'm mad I watched these because now I have to wait for the third one, but it's coming out soon, hopefully. So, yeah, I love just thinking back and watching Dune. I'm like, wow, that was a crazy experience. I want to watch that again. This one definitely clears the first one, in my opinion. Once again, thought great acting from Timothée Chalamet, and I'll recognize Zendaya as well. She did a really good job in this movie. Maybe the best acting I've seen Zendaya do. I've only really seen the Spider-Man movies of her acting, so not, and that show that she did with Bella Thorne. So I thought this was definitely a standout performance from Zendaya. She really killed it. In this movie, there's definitely more action, and we get to unlock a little bit more about the characters that we met in the first film, like Shani, Stilgar, and then now new characters, Irulan, and the Emperor. We get to finally meet the Emperor for once. So that was cool to kind of unlock these new characters. I felt like we were ready for it. His mom as well, progresses on a storyline in this movie. Just so much happened. 2 hours, 45 minutes, didn't feel like it was too long at all. It was way more enthralled in this one than the last one. So the whole idea and theme of this movie of worshiping Messiah is definitely strong in this film, and you can tell that it will play out because Paul envisions it. So obviously this will be our theme moving forward. The whole idea of prophecy and futures that may happen and the holy water is really interesting to me. I think they did a really good job portraying it in a complex way to make you think about it. What would you do in the situation? How you get to see the Fremen react to it in real time. You get to see like the differing perspectives, especially from Shawnee. So I thought that this was really like not just even like a surface level like action movie stuff. I thought there was deeper stuff going on that was really interesting, and that definitely elevated it for me as well. So the only negatives I have is that I felt like they kind of jumped around a lot quickly and they didn't really let things linger. It's fine. Obviously, they have a lot of ground to cover, a lot of different characters involved in this movie, but I feel like some parts I was like, whoa, that's all we're seeing of that. And then we're just on to the next one. Um, Another thing I had that I wrote down, but now I understand, I was upset with how Paul was just being kind of a dickhead at the end to Shawnee. I feel like that wasn't really explained at all. Obviously, it's inferred now that I get it that he drank the water and now he's holier than thou, sort of thing. So I understand that part of it, but I feel like they could have maybe dove into that a little bit more. So I guess he can see the future, so that doesn't really matter. So my overall score on this, I'm giving it a strong 9.0. I thought this was a top tier movie. I'm going to add it to my favorites list. Anything that goes on a 9 or above gets a favorite, goes to my favorite list. Maybe one day I can read you through all my favorite movies, but not for now. We're talking about Dune 2. Just stellar movie. Wish I saw it in theaters. I've really bricked on that one. Yeah, I completely missed on both these movies seeing them in theaters. I'm sure it would have been even better, but watching my bed on my TV was still a fantastic experience. So with that being said, let's quickly pull up the DubCast graphic, compare where this lands among other films. So 9.0, that's good enough for the second highest movie behind Wind River, which I believe was like a 9.3 or a 9.2. So this is only the second 9 I've given out on the Dubcast. So, top tier movies respect. Dune 2's got my respect for sure. Dune Part 2, sorry. It does 0.4 better than Dune Part 1, which received an 8.6. Honestly, if I had to redo it now, I'd think I'd move down Dune Part 1 a little bit just because this one was so good, but I like the 9, so I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Maybe like only a couple decimals, maybe like an 8.4, 8.5. But Dune 2 is awesome, so I'm really happy with the score, 9. I think it's really good benchmark. And yeah, this is our 19th movie on the Dubcast. If you've been here for all of them, if you've been here for some of them, if this is your first one, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Can't believe I'm about to hit 20 movies. People didn't think I'd make it this far, but here we are. So next movie I review will be my 20th movie. We'll see what that is. Don't know as of right now. It could be one of two things, so we'll see how that all shakes down. So cutting out the graphic now, we're back. So now I'll give you my thoughts and reactions as things happen throughout the film. Some of it will be kind of plot stuff, and then I'll give my thoughts based on that, and then other stuff will be just stuff I noticed. So here we go. So I thought the way they opened this movie was interesting for sure, and I'm not sure if it was different in theaters or the same in theaters, where they have an alien voice at the beginning say power over spice is power over all, and that's before they even do like the city pan of like the WB Productions and all that. So yeah, I mean, this just sets the stage for how important spice is in this universe. I thought this was like a really, you know, not different, but just interesting route to go. Where I don't even know if we heard this alien again throughout the film. Obviously, this is kind of like a outside perspective. Power over spice is power over all. I mean, it explains itself, but I just thought that was notable. So moving on, this was kind of, this was giving me, this is like a weird comparison, but this was giving me Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because in that one we open up with Gwen, and this one we open up with Florence Pugh, we haven't even met. Obviously we met Gwen, so that's not really a one-for-one comparison, but Florence Pugh as the Emperor's daughter, I'm here for it. Florence Pugh, great actress. She kills in everything she's done. So we basically leave off where we left off from last movie. The Emperor hasn't said anything about the Iraqis' invasion and basically the downfall of House Atreides, although they think everyone's dead. Obviously, Paul and Jess are still alive, but Florence Pugh's kind of monologuing this, so it's cool to see the Emperor's perspective from all the way out in the other universe. She kind of gets to be that voice because she has like the recorder. She's going to be the one putting this all into history. So I really like that opening, kind of, if maybe someone hadn't seen it. Obviously, I think there's 3 years in between the movies, so kind of refresh you, hop you right back in. Unfortunately for them, I watched like a week before this, so I was ready anyways, but it was good to get a refresher. So Paul and Jess, they're on after that first scene with Irulan. We have Paul and Jess dealing with Harkonnens in a cool scene. So the Harkonnens are kind of coming in on the Fremen. They're still obviously traveling with the Fremen, Paul and Jess. So this was a cool scene where the Fremen are kind of worried about well, they are worried about the Harkonnens coming in on them, but then they summon a worm with the Thumper. Also, the Thumpers are awesome. Just want to say that. So once they see the worm coming, all the Harkonnen levitate up to this kind of rock in the middle, and it's cool to see them levitate and like fly up and stuff. And then they just get sniped by Fremen. They get all taken out by guns, I think. So that was a really cool scene to introduce us back to Paul and Jess on their mission through Arrakis in in this intro. So once again, we're back with Stilgar, sorry. And so we learn that they take water out of the dead Harkonnen for cooling systems, that they really value water. It makes sense now that if you think it through, like at surface level, you're like, whoa, they're just taking water out of people. That's fucked up. Dead people. Well, Harkonnen, I don't know if they're really people, but once you understand that, water is very valuable to them, that's part of their culture. It's really important on water, and they really value it. So it makes sense, especially in a desert land, that you need the water. So what is initially looked at as maybe possibly a jarring scene, makes sense once you go in their shoes, empathize a little. Moving on, we have the general of the Harkonnen, Dave Bautista, aka Robin. He gets pissed off and hasn't slept due to the Fremen still being out there. They want to exterminate the Fremen. They want to take total control of the planet. But that's not happening right now, so he's upset, and he just bashes the dude head in. That's what I noticed about these Harkonnen, is they just don't give a fuck about anything, and if someone fucks up, they're dead. I think we see later on that Fade Rotha does the same thing to one of his servants. So servants, you got to be on your best game or you're fucking dead. Wow, because these people obviously, as shown last movie and this movie, have no fucking chill, bro. So moving on, we have the sort of death rituals for Jamis, I think they call him. Sorry, I fucked that up. So they take the water out of him and they put it in this well. That's what I was alluding to earlier with the importance of water in their culture. Jess cries and Stilgar takes the tear from her and says, "Don't waste the water," which is a crazy thing. I guess when you cry, you have to cry into the well. I don't know if they don't cry or they're kind of emotionless. I could see that possibility, but I don't think that's really the thing. I think it was just kind of just like a point to make of the importance of water. Obviously, once again, in a desert, you need water everywhere, and that's kind of the oasis that they're promised by the Lisan al-Gaib, is this oasis of water where you can swim in oceans and waves and stuff, as we see Paul show Shani. So thought this was an interesting scene. Obviously, when Jess is having this emotional breakdown, they take the water. You get it. So we find out Stilgar wants Jess to become the Reverend Mother. Their Reverend Mother is dying, as we see very clearly once we meet that Reverend Mother, but an interesting turn of events here. Obviously, we saw last movie that Jess had the ties to being a Reverend Mother. I didn't particularly see this path for her, although when she was spared in part 1, I figured there was something in the works for her, but her arc is crazy. This movie, she kind of goes on like a little bit of a whirlwind, but we'll talk about that when that happens. So moving on, we have Shani, and she's not really believing in the Lisan al-Gaib. She's kind of part of that community that it's kind of tentative. Like, I don't know, is this really legit? Is he really going to be the guy? He's just Timothée Chalamet. Like, I don't know, and I back her, if you don't believe in legacy, you don't believe in prophecy, you don't believe in messiahs, it's pretty simple. If you're not religious at all, it's like, it's just, we're here for trying to live our life and trying to fucking get spice and get water and be rich and just die. And the cycle of life continues, Sorry to get deep on you, but so she's not feeling that. They think it's all a manipulation tactic to say that the Messiah is coming. Now, usually I would agree with this. I don't want to put my religious views out there, but I will say, I think, the signs are there, bro. And it continues on in this movie. I don't want to just keep saying that whatever, but if you want to see my thoughts on that, I have some thoughts on that from Dune Part 1. I think there are signs. We've seen, they're not just fucking saying, oh, he's the Messiah just because he's like this chick's daughter or whatever. Daughter. Just because he's this chick's son. I believe there are signs that he's the Messiah. And I think that is just expanded upon in this movie and expounded upon. So I usually lean towards the side of Shani, but in this specific case, I think Paul, he could potentially be the Messiah of this. I think obviously will take time to tell. But as of right now, I have pretty strong conviction that he actually is a Messiah and he actually is Lisan al-Gaib. So Jess, in her ritual to become the Reverend Mother, must take the quote unquote water of life. This is a very blue water. Obviously, all water is blue, but this is kind of like a tealer, lighter blue water. Once she drinks it, she and her pregnant baby get blue eyes, which, yeah, this was a tough scene for her. It's kind of, take the water and she has demons and then wakes up and is better. So Jess, now Reverend Mother, now true Fremen with the blue eyes. So once this is happening, she goes a little nutty. She now is able to speak to her daughter that's inside of her, not out of her womb yet. And she says that the daughter believes in Paul and that he needs to drink the water of life and he'll become the Messiah. Obviously, this is kind of the big hurdle that Paul needs to jump in this movie. Yes, there are smaller quote unquote tests, but this is the big one that he needs to pass, is drinking this blue water. I think this is kind of the climax of the movie when he drinks the blue water, just because it's kind of like a non-linear plot. I don't know, maybe I'm just spewing, but anyways, yeah, so this water is obviously important. It kind of something activates in your mind. She keeps telling him it allows you to see, and it allows him to see the future. He has glimpses of visions, but once he will drink this water, he'll be able to see everything and be able to have full vision. So we'll see where that leads him. If he or once he drinks the water later on in the movie, next movie, we'll see where this even leads him further. I don't know. Maybe this will be a false prophecy. I don't know where Dune's headed. Hand up, I have not read the books. Probably won't read the books. I explained in the last one. I'll explain again. The fucking my audiobook library thing that I use. I was in like 30th in line, and after a month, I was like 27th. So I'm probably never gonna read the books, but that makes it better because then you don't really know what happens in the movies. Anyways, back to Shawnee and Paul. They take out a spice harvester. And a lot of this middle of the movie is them doing more and more complex operations to take out the spice harvesters and the Harkonnens. So this is cool to see them kind of evolve as things go on. They don't need to explain it to you. It just takes place over a couple of weeks, I'm assuming. So yeah, they got a harvester machine and a Thropter, and they take down many Harkonnen. They can just easily mark them whenever they want. Paul's people, or not Paul, Shawnee's people, I forget specifically what they're called. The fighters are really good at fighting, obviously, as they're able to just take down Harkonnen whenever they want. So once Paul has made a couple moves, he's showed his worth as a fighter, they need to give him a name. So they're going to call him Usul, which means strength in the base of the pillar. Fedaykin name, sorry, that's what the fighters are called. Fedaykin, it's right there, I'm fucking breaking it. But yeah, so the Fedaykin are really good at fighting. They need a fighter name for him. They go Usul. And so they need a war name as well as a fighting name. So they go with Muad'Dib, which is the little desert rat, like the mouse. So he's now Paul Muad'Dib Usul. Kind of a sick name. I respect it. And they call him the Muad'Dib and Usul kind of not simultaneously, but interchangeably throughout the movie. So that was cool to see his name. Paul Atreides obviously is a cool name already. Now mix in Usul and Muad'Dib. He's got really cool names, not to mention Lisan Al-Gaib. So Paul, he's got sick nicknames. Respect. Good choice. I don't know if I'd go with. He was like, what's the mouse called? Muad'Dib. And I don't know if I would go with trying to be like a mouse in the desert. I get it, but it's like, maybe pick like the worm, but whatever. Muad'Dib is a cool name, so I'll leave it at that. So only the Fremen ride the worms, which makes everyone equal, and what they do is for all to be equal. I'm not sure if that will hold up over the next couple films, but that is the Fremen life saying. So I don't know, felt like an important quote, so I wrote it down. Paul, I feel like, is definitely not going to be treating people as equal. Obviously, there's going to be a holy war fought, so he's going to think that some side's doing worse than another side. So obviously the Fremen kind of culture will just split in half. That's where I'm predicting will happen. Hot take, but So Shawnee and Paul, obviously, as they're doing all this stuff together, go closer and closer. And as Paul envisions, they do fall in love. They share their first kiss. Nice little scenic kiss on the top of a dune. Respect. Cut back to Harkonnen world. Baron is upset with Rabin. Now I'm like screwing it up. Now I'm second guessing it. For all the spice production being stopped. This is not before he kills 2 women, I should mention. But Rabin, yeah, pressure's on, buddy. He's really got to start doing stuff or they're going to find his replacement, which they take really no time in doing. Paul has a vision slash nightmare. He's following someone, and then there are millions and millions starving to death in his name. So this is what I alluded to earlier, just a couple seconds ago. I think that this Fremen war is really going to get bad. I mean, we've seen it get bad. I believe that the visions are true. I don't think he's just, I, as a personal believer in deja vu, I think this could be totally possible. But millions of people starving in your name, that's kind of crazy. I don't know. Well, now if he's the emperor, now it makes sense. So now I'm getting the clues together. He's gonna start a holy war with the empire at stake, basically. So this is gonna be really fucking crazy. And I've heard there's 6 books, and we're only on like the end of the first one or the second one now. So there could be 10 Dune movies, and I will be seated for all of them. But I don't know if I'm gonna watch that uh, prequel show. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but we'll see. Paul, in his last test to become a Fremen, Shawnee gives him a tip to put the thumper lower. The test is to ride a worm. Did he hear her though? She's like yelling across the fucking desert. I don't know. But he must summon a worm and then ride it. And this is like, I'd watched the trailer yesterday before I did the review. I don't know why, but I wanted to see what the trailers look like, and watching the trailer just made me be like, fuck, I need to watch that movie again. But most of the trailer encompasses him riding this worm. So if you watched the trailer, you knew he was going to ride the worm. I didn't know, obviously, having not watched the trailer, but this is a cool scene where he has the stakes and digs it in right into the perfect scale of the worm. Rides that thing, impressive, man. Yeah, I think Paul, it's done. He's the Messiah. Like, this is simply everything that he needs to do. He passes with flying colors. I wouldn't be able to fucking ride that worm. That's crazy, bro. Also, it's like, this is the one thing I will say is it's kind of bullshit about this is the worms are under the sand the whole time, but then when he's riding it, it's like riding right on the surface. Why wouldn't it just bring him right down and suffocate him? Maybe it respects him as Messiah. I don't know. It's Dune logic. I won't go too deep into that, but that is something I did wonder about. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments. Anyways, Jess on her mission while all this is happening with Paul and he's getting closer with Shawnee and doing all the missions, she's spreading dangerous tales about Paul trying to influence everyone, that he is the Lisan al-Gaib, is that Jess in his vision that he's following, I'm wondering, as time goes on, I think it's maybe his sister. I don't know who this girl is. Yeah, I think maybe the daughter, but I don't know. Because there is, in that vision, he is following a woman, looks younger than Jess, so maybe I think his sister's gonna have a big part to play in this. I think that's been made obvious enough. So I think maybe she's kind of starting off with the blue eyes and the holy water, or the water of life, I should say. I think she's going to play a big part in the next couple films. So Jess, though, has gone full rogue. She's just trying to get everyone to drink the Paul water. Obviously, it's her son. This kind of like gave me Catelyn Stark vibes, but like more intense, more out there, more, and I don't know. I think I already said what I was about to say. So, anyways, the path continues for Paul and Shawnee, and this time they're hitting a major spice depot, getting 80% of the crop, which is an absurd amount. Robin obviously is not happy about this. He snaps the co-pilot's neck while they're riding a thropter. Like, this is like, we get it, bro. The Harkonnen are these evil people, but you're snapping your co-pilot's neck. What are we doing, bro? They strike, just bombing some Dune. They have really bad, shitty tactics to try and kill the Fremen. Obviously, that's why the Fremen are able to prevail so often. So once they're on the ground, he calls for Muad'Dib to fight against Muad'Dib, but then just runs right after he shows up. So, Rabin, you're a bitch, bro. Fight like a man. You're gonna get what's coming to you later on in the movie. This was just total bitch-made, like, villain shit. Obviously, he's this tough guy who snaps the own necks of his people, but then once has to fight against Muad'Dib, this desert mouse, he runs. So, fuck you, Robin. Yeah, Robin's just a bitch. So now we're back to the Emperor and his daughter. They have let the conflict on Arrakis turn into war. Well, this is their strategy now. They want to let the conflict on Arrakis turn into war. They'll bring peace as a savior and then use this as a possible control piece. They still don't think that Paul's alive or know that Paul's alive, so that's going to be a bad development for them. While all this is happening, we get our introduction to Fade Rotha. I thought this was pretty late for an antagonist introduction, but it was cool. I really liked the way they introduced him and all the little background they did with him, because they stay with Fade Rotha for a bit. So we meet him and he's testing his blades, and he, like his cousin Robin, just stabs some woman while testing his blade. So we know right away this is just another piece of shit Harkonnen. But Feyd-Rautha, yeah, he's one to deal with for sure. Baron is here. There's some sort of gladiator event. This was a really aesthetic scene with the black and white. It was awesome seeing this play out in this like arena, Coliseum type vibe. So the Reverend Mothers are here as well. They have picked him to be their prospect to take down Muad'Dib slash Paul slash Osul. And so this is kind of a rigged fight, probably like they did back in the Coliseum. They drug his opponent so he's able to win, but one isn't drugged. They say that this is for his birthday that he gets to kill these 3 people from House Atreides. And yeah, after a little bit of back and forth with the non-drugged opponent, he does end up getting the kill, of course. It is his birthday and he's the main antagonist, so we do need to, get some build up here. He gets the kill, nice. So if he's able to free the spice, Baron tells him that he will help him become emperor, push out the emperor. This is kind of like interesting to see the politics of this play out as well, because the Baron has his own interests with Robin and Feyd-Rautha. Obviously, Paul and Shani and all them have their own interests, and also the emperor and his daughter have their own interests. So we get to see the kind of the 3 different layers play out. I don't know what I'm doing, but thought that was cool as well. So he does the test with the box that we saw Paul do in the first movie with the hand. She finds weaknesses on him. The Reverend Mother, he's sexually vulnerable. The bloodline is secure. This kind of younger Reverend Mother and seduces him, and she's pregnant with a girl. So we find out that Feyd-Rautha also killed his mother in his past. He's got a weakness there too as well. So he's kind of mentally a little bit unstable, but they probably like that. They need that for him to beat Paul. Interested to see that. I forgot that this happened, so I'm interested to see where this daughter ends up. The Reverend Mother and Feyd-Rautha's daughter ends up. I'm sure that'll play a part as well in the next movie. So, coolest scene that I knew because I kept seeing tweets about Josh Brolin being part of Dune 2, but obviously we don't see him die in Dune 1, but I don't know if he's going to be back. But guess what? He lives. He's got a crew of people trying to harvest spice. He's attacked by the Fremen and Paul as part of their continuing entourage to try and gain spice. But Gurney, I love to see it. Love to see Josh Brolin. I loved him in the first movie. Love to see him in the second one. So he's like, once him and Paul are able to reconcile a little bit, explain where they've been and stuff, he tells Paul that he knows where his father hid the family atomics. So apparently they just hid like 300 nukes into a wall in the desert. So that's little something extra that Paul has to add to his arsenal, and we can see Paul and the gang slowly gaining more and more power, even with these weapons. It's pretty powerful and is able to help them whenever they need to. As we see, it helps them later on threaten the Emperor. So love to see Gurney back. We're here for it. So Chani and the Fremen are hesitant about Gurney and the outsiders, obviously having not trusted a lot of having a lot of outsiders come and invade their land. It's not really expected of them to trust these people anyway, but they don't. So Jess, meanwhile, has been getting the water of life prepared for Paul and makes this woman who's able to give the water of life to people, gets it prepared for when Paul is going to drink it and come south, and he may die. But once again, Jess says, "Fuck it, we need to test him as the lead son of Gilead." We saw that with the test in the box in the first movie. Sorry, not episode. So while all this is happening, Feyd-Rautha makes Robin kiss his feet due to Robin embarrassing the family. He blows up the place where the Fremen lived. It's kind of this main city hub. So Feyd-Rautha is on the war hunt now. He's got a couple victories under his belt, blowing up this little city or whatever. So back to Paul. He has his vision. This time he sees his sister in real life. Guess what? It's Anya Taylor-Joy. This cast is crazy. He took the water, so he sees her as his sister. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of Anya Taylor-Joy, and then at least the next 2 or 3 movies. I don't know what the arc is for her, but I'm sure she'll grow up pretty fast because they already teased her now. So Paul does die for a second, but then with Shani's tear and the water of life, now he is alive. Shani's not happy that he took the water of life. She slaps him, and this is where the paths and the roads split, where Shani is not really happy with a lot of the actions that Paul does, and Paul is kind of going in his own path now that he has the blood of water, or the blood of life, or I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So we come to find out, this was kind of the craziest reveal of the movie to me, that Jess is the daughter of Baron. What? That was like, they just kind of throw that one at you. But she says we're Harkonnens and we will survive. due to us being Harkonnens. So I don't. And it's like I don't even feel like piecing that together. It's just like that's just a bomb. They just throw it at you because it's wrapping up, and whoa, I don't even know what to say to that. So some sort of ritual ceremony is taking place, and Paul is fired up, just drinking the water. He's ready to go. People are kind of questioning him at the beginning, but then one guy is like trying to question him, and he's like, "You were born this day, and we know everything about you in your life." Kind of gave me Brand vibes when he was talking to Littlefinger. Because once you just do that, they bow down to you. Well, Littlefinger didn't bow down to him, but anyways, just an interesting way to turn him around there. I feel like I saw that recently something else as well, but I can't place it. So once he's able to see the past of this guy who opposes him, they all bow down to him, and he wants to lead them to the green paradise. Obviously, this is the dream that has been promised. This is what Stilgar believes in heavily, that one day there's going to be a paradise with ocean and water, and they're going to be able to swim into it and bring water to this dusty planet, desert planet. And he says there's only one way, or not him. Back with Irulan and the Emperor, there's only one way for her to continue her legacy and keep the family in power. They don't know what it is. I don't think it's mentioned, but she figures out what it is. And yeah, we're going to see that play out in the second to last scene of the movie. So the Emperor got Paul's message and has arrived on Arrakis with his entire army. Paul sent him this kind of baiting message to get him to show up. He does. He follows the bait. Irulan is going to... Well, this is my prediction that I thought Irulan was going to bang Fade Ratha since he's sexually vulnerable. Get in with the Harkonnens, just double that army, but obviously that doesn't play out. But the Emperor cuts off Baron's life support thing once they have their confrontation because he didn't know about the South region. Obviously, the North regions are what they've been dealing with, but the South region is even worse. And they didn't even know that there was a South region, so once everyone flees there, it's war because the Baron didn't know shit about this at all, and he's been on Arrakis, or involved on Arrakis for like a million years now. So once the Emperor's docked on Arrakis, he's on this kind of campus, and they circle him around with worms. Stilgar's got a crew, Shawnee's got a crew, Paul's got a crew. It's like, this is simple, easy money, which is crazy since the Emperor's supposed to, like, in my mind, I thought the Emperor was this huge power, almighty, lifting above, you know what I mean? Like, he should be able to, if he's going somewhere, he should have 10,000 people with him, but I guess, but the worms are OP as fuck, so they bombed it with the storm as well, so it's hard for them to see with the worms and stuff. Obviously, the Fremen are used to the storm, so it just is easy money for Paul and the gang. Paul walks right into the Emperor's lair and kills Baron off rip. He says, my grandfather, fuck you for basically all that he'd done. He killed his dad, obviously, so there you go. R.I.P. to Baron real quick. So Gurney gets to Rabin and kills him pretty easily. He says, for my duke and for my friends. Obviously, Gurney had a little side thing with Rabin, so both Rabin and Baron die in rapid succession. Ants are all over Baron's body instantly. I don't know what that was supposed to mean, but he's just made of shit, so maybe they just want to eat shit. So Paul, in the preparation for what he's going to say to the Emperor and the offer he has for the Emperor, he tells Shawnee, I will love you as long as I breathe. Will you, though? I mean, doesn't really look like that, buddy. But we'll see. And as that dynamic plays out in the next movie, Paul offers to take the Emperor's daughter's hand, and they will rule over the Empire together. Shawnee is taken aback by this. She's shocked. I was shocked. I did not see this coming. I should have seen this coming, though. As reading back to my notes, there was just a couple obvious signs. But, in my opinion, if you got to pick between Zendaya or Florence Pugh, I'm taking Florence Pugh. Sorry, not sorry. Anyways, Emperor obviously opposes this sentiment, and he needs to choose a champion, and he chooses Fade Ratha as his champion, and they duel. Fade Ratha versus Paul. This is the big... Seems like both movies we end with a big conflict, or a big fight. First one was John Meese versus Paul, and now we have Paul versus Fade Ratha. Paul gets stabbed twice. He doesn't look good. Looks like he's about to die, but stabbed him as well, and that one stab that he got on Fade Ratha kills him. Fade Ratha is dead, and everyone starts chanting Lisan al-Gaib. He is the chosen one. Dude is on the verge of death. It's like, if you're witnessing this, of course you're going to think he's the freaking Messiah. So I'm Team Paul. I'm ready. So the Emperor kneels to him and kisses the ring. Shawnee walks out upset. Looks like Paul is ready to take over the universe. He's now wants to attack the great houses of the emperor that were on his side, and the holy war is now begun. Shani, last seen frustratedly and sadly, calls a worm. I think she's going to cook up something. I think that's going to be a major source of conflict in the third one, Shani versus Paul. So that'll wrap up Dune 2. What a stellar film. Loved it. 9.0. Really gas movie. Cannot wait at all to see the third one. I'm really excited. So what do you guys think of Dune 2? What was better, Dune 2 or Dune 1? I got Dune 2 in a landslide. Honestly, I don't know if I should move up Dune 2 or move down Dune 1, but I thought this movie was awesome, way better than the first one, and I can't wait to see the third one. So that'll wrap up my thoughts on Dune for now until the next movie comes out. So thank you guys so much for watching. In terms of what happens next on the DubCast, every week we're doing Survivor, every week we're doing NFL predictions and recap of the week before. And besides that, expect more movie reviews, show reviews possibly, and some other long-term videos like top 10 TV shows of all time, top 10 movies of all time. That's going to probably be in a while, though, in the near future. Doing a lot of stuff with everything I follow: sports, UFC, NFL, shows, movies. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, be easy.